Is really quite phenomenal. And that all came about as a result of the flood of Noah's day. It says in Psalm 104 that God raised up the mountains and he lowered the basins where the water was to go to. And so you had a massive runoff. And in our case here, the second layer from the top is the Hell Creek Formation. And that's what we dig in. That's the T-Rex, the Triceratops, the Dinosaurs, which is a duck-billed dinosaur, one of the raptors we have here, turtles, fish, you have all sorts of fossils here.
I wondered how far we'd go out, because the beginning hike, it was like, it felt, what it reminded me of, it reminded me of Indiana Jones. I don't know which one it was, but how they're digging to find an Egyptian tomb. And then you see in the distance this Indiana Jones standing on top of this like mound where they're digging, and you look in the distance and there was a paleontologist guy standing there, and it looked like Indiana Jones' dad anyway.
Otis, the guy that was the paleontologist that led our dinosaur dig in Montana. He was the spitting image of a young Sean Connery.
He looked like Sean Connery.
This is not like Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park set up unreasonable expectations for people when it comes to digging dinosaurs.
Otis Klein, he is a paleontologist. He's really cool. He looks like a paleontologist. The hardcore white beard and the vest. But no, the dinosaur dig. That was really cool. It was a kind of long walk. We had a lovely bathroom around the side of a mountain. I actually found these rocks that worked as a toilet seat. It's awesome.
A guy named Otis, who's pretty much going to be our digging guide for the rest of the trip. We dug for two days straight at least. Found a bunch of dinosaur bones. Yeah, it was fun. We're all just in this little pit, just digging away at looking for
everybody wants to come see quickly what a bone looks like and be exposed. We've got one already this morning.
It was fun because I remember I found the first bone in the first couple minutes. Well, the first one was small, it was only this big. The other one I found found after lunch that day or whatever. The one that was like this big. Yeah, because I remember the big one because when we were excavating it or taking it out, it broke in half, or broke into 3 pieces, and as you were pulling them out you could see inside the bone, and so you know how bone is supposed to be super porous and stuff. It was still porous, but it was all black and shiny because it was been in the ground for a long time type of a thing, and so it's really cool because you got to see not only the outside, but you saw the inside of it because it was a fresh break, and so you could see it and stuff. So
then it was obvious for you what's rock and bone.
Yeah, because then you could really see. Yeah, because I remember you just take little screwdrivers, and you would take screwdrivers and you just slowly brush away the sand until you'd find something, and then you'd be like, "Oh, just come look at this. Is this a bone or a rock?" And he'd be like, "Nope, that's a rock," and you just throw it behind him, and he was like, "Keep digging," and so.
Bone or rock? Now this is a special type of fossil. This fossil is called a leverite. And we just leave it right there. This is rock. It's also called a pseudo-fossil. Now pseudo meaning false.
Sand, and roots, and coal, and leverite. Fossils. Leverite as in lever right there, right? Lever right there. Lever right there.
Oh, it's going great.
That's it? That's all you gotta say?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm about to uncover a whole skeleton. Maybe one that's that big.
More impressive.
We'll see.
They had recently.
It's better than nothing.
Oh yeah.
we just kept going back and back and back. We found like something that long at first. I think it ended up being something like that long. So we spent more than 2 days. No, not more than 2 days.
big lake.
1 day and a half days working on that. Like we dig back a little bit, then we'd have to take the rocks off the top, just keep going back. It was just cool to see just how much it was. Then we got to plaster it, that was fun. Basically he takes a jug filled with powder, puts water in it, mix it all up, and the plaster never touched the bone. I think he covered it in tin foil and poured the plaster over that just so we can take it out without breaking anything, because the bones were like insanely fragile.
You know, once you put it on this side.
And that was interesting. Basically took just potato sacks and just covered them in plaster, put them over. They dry and it just pretty much like putting a rock on top of it. And it was a really cool experience.
So how did you excavate it after the rock's on top?
Like
yeah, how'd you get the thing out of there?
Basically you go underneath it and just, we left a lot of dirt underneath it so that we can cut that all out.
Perfect.
And plaster pretty much
That's
the sides
exactly
of it.
what we want to see. Because you don't see
it was a really, really slow process, but it was a good experience. I would do that again probably.
And you're waiting on a copy.
I am waiting on the molds. That was something I really hope that they remember to send.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
Because that's something like, hey kids, look what I did when I was a kid.
Little dimples on the top here, and it's smooth, and this actually is a piece of turtle. Little valleys here. This happens to actually be a piece of jawbone to a triceratops.
Lick it. Yeah, it's supposed to stick to your tongue, right? I'll try it.
It was really cool to see what people did find and how from the outside things may look not as cool as they are, and then once you get beneath the surface that they really can hold a lot of interesting things and also more facts than you have known, which is pretty relevant to people, and just how from the outside if you judge them it's like you don't really know them until you start to peel away their dirt and things that have gone on.
Well, I have always thought it would be cool to dig up something old, and I like digging in the dirt, and so it was a lot of fun. It's really cool when I actually dug it up myself. It's like, whoa, this is the real thing.
Towards like the base of the tooth, and I was all excited. I found a tooth, and I was like, "Kevin, are you sure this isn't your tooth? Because you found one." And it looks exactly like
good job,
like, no, you found that.
Yeah. She's very angry about me.
That's exactly what he did. He didn't tell me until the last day of the trip that he put it in there.
Yeah, because I told her about it. I felt that
He said he felt bad that I didn't find any big bones.
I don't feel as good. I'm like, oh.
I'm like, Kevin!
I never thought that we were still finding this many dinosaur bones. I didn't think that, or the U.S. in general, I didn't think we were still finding this many dinosaur bones. I thought we were pretty much slowing down. So to know that paleontologists still have a job, that's a blessing for them.
We did the fossil dig. That was interesting, I guess. It was kind of warm out. I drank lots of water though. And there's lots of digging.
It was a creation-based museum, but just the experience of it was a lot of fun. And actually learning about that stuff was cool.
See, there's one magic bolt that the evolutionists will fire from their gun every time they talk to you to make evolution work from their perspective. And and that magic bullet is vast amounts of time. If you don't have vast amounts of time, evolution just falls on its face. He's an electron microscope specialist, and Mark Armitage. And he told me when he came up here, he says, I want to get a bone that I can go ahead and analyze under the electron microscope to go beyond Mary Schweitzer's work. And she's the one that found the soft tissue in the thigh bone of a T-Rex. That was reported in Science Magazine in 2005. And so I took him to a place, worked with another rancher, to where there was a good opportunity to find what I thought would be best for him, which was the brow horn of a Triceratops. And we did find it. He was with another scientist. The three of us excavated that. He went ahead and put it under the electron microscope. He cut it into pieces and then analyzed it under the electron microscope. He found tremendous amount of soft tissue, far more than Mary Schweitzer ever found, and different kinds of soft tissue. Wrote an article that was published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, and he was promptly fired from the University of California at Northridge. The significance of the soft tissue is that the dinosaur could not have died out 65 million years ago. That's why soft tissue is so important. You cannot have soft tissue and it be 65 million years old. You can't have soft tissue and it be 1 million years old. You can't have soft tissue and it be 100,000 years old. The Bible says the earth was created, and the timeline is right there in the Old Testament. It gives us the ages right up to Jesus Christ. And then we know from Jesus to now, the scientific community will not allow anything but random chance to go ahead and be the cause for our creation. And yet as I look at each one of you, I see a marvelous work of our Creator. Our population can very easily be accounted for in that period of time. And the erosion can be accounted for in a very short period of time, just a matter of days, weeks, or months. You know, there's a lot of things that the evolutionary scientists, the evolutionary geologists, biologists, and so on, like to throw out there as proofs for evolution that are being demolished all the time. And that what's happening is the biggest enemy of science, of evolution today, is science itself. But the scientific instrumentation we have today, whether it's from the electron microscope for inner space, to the computers, to the satellites that are orbiting up there, or the Hubble telescope that's up there too, for outer space, it's all confirming we were created. This universe was created. It never could have happened by chance. The discoveries that are being made are just making it impossible for a person that, from a scientific perspective, to believe in evolution. Now, from a worldview perspective, they continue to believe it because the only alternative is special creation, and they don't want to be accountable to a creator.
There's lots of singing in the van. I may have participated a little bit. I was on key at least once.
And he's usually got a buddy around.
I like how he walks so like